Welcome, everybody. We're delighted to have you with us on this podcast of the kingdom and its stories. And today, I have the great privilege of introducing a friend of mine for about Munkhoo, 15, 20, somewhere
16
between
years. Yeah.
16 years. Yeah. And I met Munkhoo in Mongolia when he was a student of one of the classes that I was teaching for a group called Asian Access and
Hmm.
Munku called me a year or so after he'd been implementing some of the things that we'd been teaching and said, Bob, would you mentor me? And I thought, what? He's in Mongolia. How can I do that? But for 15, 16 years, we've kept up a relationship by Zoom or WhatsApp weekly and shared our lives together and worked together. And so, Munku, I,
Hmm.
tell us, um, who are you? As the people who are listening and watching, they don't know who you are. So, give us the short version of who you are.
Okay, thanks for having me. And first of all, I'm full of Jesus. I have a full of heart to love my Lord more and more. That's all about me. And also, I'm married the lady who loves the Lord, and then we have a daughter who's 6 years old now. It's been a good age, so for the parents. So I trusted the Lord in 1998. I was a fully rejected person because I thought I'm Mongolian because Christians are completely out of Mongolian. And then my sister really tried to, bring me to church, but I was so rejected. I was so, disliked that all the process of her to. Anyway, and then finally I met the Lord, and God brought me to Him, revealed His truth. And then I met the Lord, and I called the ministry 2001. And Lord really directly, remind me that He called me to be the minister to Him. And then I've been serving the church, call it Holy Foundation Church, 11 years, and pastored there for six years, 6 to 7 years. And during the time I met that Bob Moffat, it was 2007. At that time, our church really stuck. We had a full of vision and level of a nation, but in our reality is so limited. Having So anyway, that's the starting point, and God has really touched the message. So since 2007, we started to apply the idea, and the Lord has really blessed our church. Lord has brought we've been 4,200 people and over 10 cell groups to 33 cell groups, and really impacting the level of a community. And so anyway, that we raised the father of Jesus. And then since 2012, Lord has called me to serve the body of Christ, to the holistic ministry. So I right now I have been doing training and mentoring and helping leaders and churches, and also translating resources, books and stuff of holistic ministry. So basically, that's what I'm doing right now, and really love to love the Lord more and serving Him. So that's
Munku,
that's
tell us some of the things your church did that caused a change in your church.
the first of all, the Lord has changed our heart and mind because we started to understand the biblical worldview really and what it does mean. And also we understood what the power of serving. Um, um, and then also our church, we adapted the discipline, the way of people is called discipline of love. And we started to disciple the people to be served. And our church started to serve, not to ourselves as a church, but we started church. It started to serve out of the wall of the church. And then God has brought us the impact. I mean, it was incredible. We started to reach the children. We started to reach the community who need the people, alcohol, lost the home, I mean, basically who society that forgetting that the Lord has given us the heart. So that was a wonderful. And then so through that process, people came to Christ, and started to see the church different window, So that was incredible. So that's how we
Yeah, great,
did.
great. So I can remember one of the stories you told about um, you were you were serving people on the outside of the city, Ulaanbaatar, which, by the way, for those who are listening, is the coldest capital city of the world, and it gets really cold there, and the heat is often by by coal, and so there's a great deal of pollution in the air. And
Yeah.
these people living in yurts on the edge of the city, just like a little hut, um, the kids are not well fed, they're not well clothed, and so you began to bring coal,
Yes.
and some guy with a coal truck offered to come and volunteer a whole truckload of coal.
That's right.
And then another story that I remember you telling is you were providing some food, and this guy who was a pork farmer, he
Yeah.
raised
Yeah.
pigs. What did he
Yeah.
do?
Sorry.
What did he do? What did this guy that raised pigs do when he saw what you were doing in the community?
Well, they started the move to help us, and he served to those the people what he had, like pigs and some other things, to help those children and people who needed it.
Yeah, was he a Christian?
Not a
Yeah, but
Christian.
he saw you serving,
Yes,
and he
exactly,
decided to give what he had, which was pigs.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah, and so being a servant is uh, is a way to inspire other people, even if they don't know the Lord, to respond to what God has put in their hearts
exactly, exactly,
to serve others.
exactly.
Munkhoo, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is this vision that God has put on your heart for the nomadic people of Mongolia. Tell us, who are they?
Yes. The God has put in my heart that the nomadic people that we've been serving the last 3 to 4 years now, the nomadic people are completely forgotten, lost people, and they are really adapted to I mean, animistic and Buddhist the worldview. This they hold it in thousands of years. It's really deep in their lifestyle, and they are just really, I mean, every their actions, way of living is deeply rooted in that worldview. It's the really hard for the Christians. So those are who really need the people, the Lord loves them, and we love to love them and reach them, bring them to Christ.
Are
That's
they
the
are they very open to the gospel?
Well, it looks like some hears, some says, looks like that, but in the heart is closing. I mean, they have many doors, and I mean, honestly, some other Christians, we are go and give them tracts, like just say something and shoot the gospel, and they just to let them, it's over, and then some of them lead them to pray, and they thought they prayed, pray the Lord, and they went the left. So, but it's not. They have many doors. But Lord has given us different ideas to reach for the nomads. Yeah, that's
So
even
what are
more.
those ideas? How do you do that?
Yeah, those ideas are like that. We are, I mean, first of all, we love them instead of pushing kind of religious things or some other things, you know. We love to love them as a persons, and also we just want to be the Mongolians to Mongolians. Sometimes as a
So what
Christian,
does that look like? How do you do that?
yeah, sometimes in Christians we are looks like a foreign. I mean, some's like a Korean, some sort of like that. You know, it's like a way of expressing something like that. But the we love to love them and being with them, eat with them, stay with them, and help with them. You know, to serve them. And sometimes, in basically, you know, summertime or wintertime when I travel, I get diarrhea. You know, I get. I mean, our food was
I don't
not
think our
easy.
people got that. When you go, you get diarrhea. Is that
Yes,
what you
yeah.
said?
I mean,
Why?
exactly. That's
I
exactly
know why.
because
Water, the
you know,
food.
yeah, water in the food. If you're not eating, giving us because it's hard for them, you know. It's really like a sounds like a reject them, and so anyway, we love them, just being with them and helping them, you know. And then, so after 2 years serving, one of the nomad has opened his heart. I mean, last year in June, it was the last 2 years. After 2 years, he opened and his heart. We shared about the God until until the midnight. It was about 2 or 3 in the midnight, you know. It never happened, you know. But
Hmm.
but after the serving and being with them, loving them, you know, continually helping them, you know, expressing Christ's love out of results
So
or
in summary, Munkhoo, what you're saying is that the typical way that Christians often have tried to reach these Mongolians is to is just to go and talk with them, share the gospel, leave the tract,
yes,
and and that hasn't been effective.
yes, exactly,
So the strategy that God has given you is to go spend time with them, to live with them,
exactly,
eat their food,
exactly,
help them.
exactly,
I know that you personally have helped them with their animals.
exactly.
Um, yeah. How big a part of their life is animals in their culture?
Animals are everything for them, everything, because they are just live after the animals. Because you know the nomad
So what
lives
kind of animals and how many animals does a
a
typical
bit. I
family have?
mean, yeah, in Mongolian we have five different animals, and sheep and goat and cows and camels and horses. That's the five of
Okay.
the five five animals. And typical nomads have in hundred to 300, you know, like golden sheeps. I mean, golden sheeps all goes together. They have and some and over 15 to 20 cows, you know, and like 40 to 60, you know, horses. Regal. I mean, basic families. It's up and down, you know. It's yeah,
Okay. And they're called nomads because they take these animals to different places where they can eat. So they're
exactly,
always mobile. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. I want to take a station break here for a minute. And when we come back,
Mhm.
I want you to talk about the crisis that these nomad
Sure,
people have had this year. But for
sure.
those who are listening, you're listening to the Kingdom and Its Stories. And our guest today is Munkhoo from Mongolia. And Munkhoo is sharing his story of how God has called him to minister in the culture of Mongolia, and particularly with the nomadic people who are uh, famously very difficult to reach with the gospel because of their strong animistic, shamanistic background. So, Mungu, tell us what I understand there was a crisis for these
Uh-huh.
nomadic people. What was the crisis,
Yeah,
and how have you responded?
yes. This year in Mongolian and nomadic people have I mean, huge crisis. It's like, I mean, extreme crisis. We call it Zod. This is kind of full of snows under with snow with the freeze, you know, the snow and freeze. and animals nothing to eat. And then nomads have lost the 67 to 70% of the total animals they've lost, and still going on that process. That was, I mean, nomads telling the last 25 years they have never had that happens. So this year is extremely hard
because of the
situation for the
cold
nomad.
and the snow, the
Yes,
deep snow.
e-
I can remember
exactly. It's
seeing
too
a
cold.
picture that you sent to me of the shelters that they live in. The snow is as high as the shelter. So in order to get out
Exactly.
of the shelter, they have to dig like a moat all around their little hut. And
Exactly.
then one of the pictures I saw, you had animals, but they weren't alive. Tell me about that.
Uh, um, basically they nomads are all work to protect the animals. They staying some of them in the gear, something like that. And but this year, we helped them because we just simply can't out of that process. You know, we really burdened, really broken heart for the what happens in the nomads, and then basically we planned to help the 27 the nomads. You bet the Lord has worked
You
in
mean 27 individuals or families?
families and households.
Okay.
But Lord has working out more than what we planned. We reached it. I mean, we helped with the 47 households and reached it and 190 97 nomads. That was we had two trips. I mean, it was so hard. I mean, we are tracking, stuck in the deep snow. We just dig at the snow and we distributed supplies to the nomads day and
What
night.
kind of supplies?
We had animal supplies and hays and fodders and some other animals, the things, and also the household's food supplies, and also emergency, general medical supplies. Those are we provided at the time. And but I want to mention that things. It was difficult more than what I thought, because it's not about this condition or situation problem. When we reach them, they are broken by mentally and physically, and so all their, the health, their health is really getting down because they lost all the animals. For example, if the nomad lost the animals, they can't work. I mean, their profession, like if the cult profession, all the profession, this is like a going after the nomads. They are really hard situation. When we brought them the supplies, they were tearing, they were crying, I mean, they were so touched what we did to them, and then they shared the difficulties and with the tears and hugs, and I mean, it was, for me, I never expressed it before them some kind of thing, but inside of my heart, I'm broken with them, because when I see them, that was so difficult. But I'm just so thankful for the Lord, because Lord has, given them the hope and joy and courage through our serving to the nomadic people in the extremely harsh situation. It's
And you said that they lost like 70% this year of their
exactly
animals.
Exactly. They 67 to 70% of total animal they lost now. It was, I mean, it was,
They lost them because they froze to death. They didn't have
yes,
anything to
froze
eat.
to death. Exactly. Exactly. They don't have nothing to eat. And even it's not about the animals problem. It's about, I mean, nomads problem, because I mean, they have not access to get supplies like a food for themselves, and also some of nomads have a children with them, and I mean, that was so difficult. And the snows are covered the gear, covered the gear,
Their house, yeah.
yeah, house. And when we visit one nomad, the big truck come and pull up the snow and release the gear. So otherwise, the hand by hand, it's impossible. It's a deep and big snow. It's that was an extremely difficult situation for the nomads. Yeah,
So, so I was in one of the pictures that you sent, I saw sheep that had frozen to death, and they were
yeah,
stacked up, one sheep on top of the other, but they weren't alive. They were dead. They were,
they were, yeah,
and
they
that,
were dead.
what you're saying is that emotionally is so difficult for them because that's their whole life.
Exactly,
If they don't have animals, um,
exactly,
how do they live?
exactly,
That's their
exactly,
that's their profession is to
exactly,
raise those animals. So
exactly.
so how did you, I mean if the snow is that deep, which I would say what 6 feet, maybe more, at least it's as high as the house, so
Yeah,
maybe 10 feet deep.
yeah.
And so how were you able to get to them? How were they?
Uh,
How were you able to get supplies to them?
yeah. And first of all, thank God because the government worked it and made a way. But on the way when we go to them, it's snowstorm again, that the road blocked, and basically we all the men are get out a car and dig the snow, make the road. That make the road, and we little bit stuck and dig the snow a little bit, go further and further, and it was a really difficult.
So
And
how many miles was it that you had to go from
for
where
for
you live
example, yeah, for example, several families are like a 15 kilometers. It was a difficult family from and then also other one 50, 50 kilometers, and then further we over 30 kilometers to get the nomads. That was a long
okay
way, but it's a
so
man way. It's a man way. It was fine, but it's a difficult. But from the village to the nomads, the 30-20 kilometers are really difficult like that.
okay so how far from Ulaanbaatar where you live to get to this
I
area
Yeah, that was the eastern province of Mongolia. I traveled over 700 kilometers from
to get
where we
there
live. Yeah,
and
together.
and then from there it's another 20, 30, 40 kilometers
Uh, yeah,
kilometers.
it's all included that the nomads families and main province from UB to get there 500 and next 150 to
Two
200
minutes.
kilometers go. Yeah.
Right, okay, so what is your conclusion, Munkhoo? How is it? These are people who aren't in the city, who don't come to the city, who are out in the countryside, who are isolated, one family from another. Um, Not easy to reach. So after several years of working with these people, what do you think is the best way to reach these people with the gospel?
First of all, I love to say basic obedience rather than how many baptized or how many reach it, the basic numbers. First of all, based on obedience. That's the key. The second one
What do
is,
you mean?
a lot of people are just have a mentality to reach more people. They
Okay,
they love like travel and say a lot of numbers. That's a good thing, but nomads are not working that way. Nomads are different ways. First of all, obedience. The Christ, if we obey,
1 minute.
and then love them. Keep loving them out of results that we giving the results to the Lord.
okay. In other
That's
words,
us.
what you're saying is don't go and preach the gospel and leave, but love them, spend time with them.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you think that's the most effective way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Munkhoo, what what is the most important thing that God has taught you in the last couple of years regarding ministry to these nomadic people? Very quickly. We only
30
have
seconds.
30 seconds left.
Okay. The lesson is, first of all, love, sacrificial love, and keep going, courage. That's and then also I'm learning, if the Lord called you, keep going. Don't discourage, because the nomadic ministry is not an easy one, easily to discourage. But I'm learning, if the Lord called you to do that, keep doing that. That's what I'm learning. So
Munkhoo, thank you so much
you're
for
welcome.
sharing with us. May the Lord bless you, and may He multiply the impact of your ministry among these people whom He died for. God bless
Thank
you,
you so
brother.
much. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. Bye.